Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day, it will brighten all the way. If you keep on the sunny side of life.
The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. And the hands are open, and the feet are bare. My heart is open. Make my life a prayer. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. Give us eyes to see you. Send your fire and wind in ourselves and others. Only you again. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. The whole earth is full of the glory of God. It's important to remember. I want to talk to you about in this series we've been doing about fighting for faith. Keep your faith going. I want to talk to you about fighting for a pandemic posture. I know that sounds kind of strange. But I've been thinking a lot about it, that, good posture in life, it's really hard to maintain it. It really is. As a matter of fact, I was reading a little bit about this as I was thinking about it on the Mayo Clinic site on the internet. It says proper body alignment not only helps prevent pain and injury, but it also can boost your confidence and your mood. It sounds like I'm going to try and sell you some supplements here any second. But improving your posture will likely take some time and conscious effort, but the feel-good benefits are worth it. You can look this up on Mayo Clinic site yourself. Because the right kind of posture for your body supports your overall health. As a matter of fact, I'll talk more about it, maybe or maybe not, as we get to the weekend. But what they write about is that the right kind of posture or body alignment, if you don't have it, it puts excess strain on your joints, your muscles, and it causes all kinds of problems. And if you get your posture right, it can help you with all kinds of benefits. A bonus of correct posture can boost your efficiency and lower your pain level. And, they were talking about how do you know if you've got good posture? Well, you stand so that your back of your head, your shoulder blades, and your lower side touch the wall, and your heels are 2 to 3 inches from the wall, and you put a flat hand behind the small of your back, and you measure. There's a way to measure your posture to be able to tell if it's right. So many parallels to this, to us being in the right place with the Lord, having the being at the full stature in Christ. And so they talk a lot about measuring your posture, and they talk about the benefits. They say that unfortunately, ideal posture is often an exception rather than a rule. Poor posture can affect you head to toe, contribute to a number of problems. Headaches. It can lead to strain on the muscles in your neck and create headaches. Back and neck pain. Pain and tightness and stiffness in the back and neck can be due to injury or other conditions such as arthritis. But poor posture is a common contributor, they say. Muscle weaknesses in different parts caused by muscle imbalances, lack of flexibility, poor alignment in your hips, knee. You can have problems with your knees, pain in your patella because of bad posture. Things are pulled out of line. Foot and pain and ankle alignment can contribute to plantar fasciitis. Shoulder pain and impingement can be directly related to bad posture. Can cause TMJ in your jaw so that you get more headaches from that. Fatigue and breathing problems, poor postural habits can restrict your rib cage and compress your diaphragm. This can reduce lung capacity, leading to shallow or labored breathing, fatigue, lack of energy. The reality is that even on this website, which is a legitimate website, it talks about a lot of things that we just chalk up to aging, can be related to aging, but they really have more to do with posture. And of course, why is that? Because as we get a little bit older, we can slip into some bad habits. Some of these, if you can improve your posture, it can help prevent problems, but it can also, you can come back from this. It can improve, but it's hard to do. It's hard to maintain good posture. If we can work at it and remind ourselves, unless we do, we'll just slouch. We'll slouch our way right through the rest of life. And when we get tired, it's true, we're worn down and we're tired, we want to relax, we can slide into positions that are bad for our long-term health and maybe cause us pain down the road. And an interesting thing that is, I couldn't believe it was actually true, but did you know that people who don't practice good posture can actually become their actual day-to-day height is shorter? By improving your posture, you can gain up to 2 inches in your standing height. In other words, just by straightening up. If you're kind of slouched down and kind of out of line, we need to have a good pandemic posture as well. Now you say, well, what is all this about? Because if we don't have the right pandemic posture, the way we deal with this, the way we handle this thing that we're dealing with, we're going to have a lot of problems, more problems. And the reason I'm talking about pandemic posture now is just like in life, it's a long journey that we have to pay attention to how we stand up in the middle of it. Well, this pandemic is turning into a long crisis. It's dragging on. And I know that a lot of you are feeling it. Our doctors that are in our church are telling us that because we are tired of the kind of stuff that relates to the COVID crisis, there's a lot of folks that just aren't maintaining good social distancing practices. And the more people relax or the more people get tired, they tend to ignore basics. They don't want to wear masks, come up with excuses or reasons. And the more that happens, the more this virus spreads. And here's the sad truth. Like it or not, I didn't choose it. The more this virus spreads, the longer it's going to be before we get to something that is our new normal. Some form of normal returns. You can be upset about the fact that, and I know that people are upset about it. Now, most in-person schools are closed. Most of the colleges are going to be closed. A lot of people are having to work from home. Some people are out of work. Some of you folks I appreciate so much are having to just go in there and do it. And some of you work in places where it's not as big of an issue. But this is the school piece, this in-person school issue, they're closed. You're not going to happen except for in some unusual circumstances. And whether you like it or not, whether you are upset about it or not, they are closed, and they will be closed until the numbers of transmission numbers come down considerably. As of today, the White House numbers for the number of people who have died, not some other source, but the White House numbers tell us that 160,000, not 16,000 or whatever, 160,000 Americans have died from COVID, this COVID crisis. They've died, and 1,000 people are dying every day. Now, no matter what people are telling you, those numbers are pretty conservative. And the leading planners in industry, whether it's Google or these other companies, they're saying they're not asking their employees to come back to work in offices because they're in the private industry section. They say they're not asking them to come back till next summer because they don't feel like it'll even begin to resolve. The government says that next summer will be the soonest things will begin to improve. And the leading experts in this area, and some people don't like experts, but you read a lot of them, it'll be several years before we have resolution if we can get a safe and effective vaccine. And that means safe and effective. It's going to take longer for it to be that. Now, I'm not an expert, and you know it, and I've told you that, and that's why I did the interview with Dr. McElhaney. I'm not a doctor, but I've read a lot, and I've talked to the doctors that I know that are in our church and doctors in my family. And these are doctors that I know and doctors that I trust, and they're not people that I don't know that are getting paid for racking up more views on YouTube because they say controversial things. These are doctors that are actually they're not trying to get views. They're just trying to tell the truth. And what they're saying is what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm telling you is as honest and realistic as I can be to you, as your old friend. Some of you, I've known you for most of 40 years. And as your pastor, that God has given me the responsibility to be your pastor and to give you the best advice I can or point you to people that can give you better advice. And for most of you, I'm telling you what you already are beginning to fear is really true, that this crisis, this virus, this thing is real. This is not over. And it will not just disappear magically in some way. This will not get better for a long time. And you can't ignore it. You can't wish it away. You can't act like it's not happening, at least not for much longer. And you acting like it's not happening doesn't mean it's not happening. And I know this makes you tired. It makes me tired. And I know that some of it makes you mad at me to even hear me talk about this, if you're even still watching. Some of it makes you mad at me and you're not wanting to listen to me at all because you think that you don't want to hear this. And I understand it. I don't want to hear it either. I keep asking people, hoping they're going to give me a different answer. I keep thinking if I just keep asking, maybe they'll tell me something different. But they keep telling me the same things. And so we have to start strengthening our posture for how we're going to deal with this as followers of Jesus. We have to strengthen our pandemic posture. If we don't, we're going to suffer more than we need to. And if we don't, we're going to shrink. I know a little bit about posture. Since my accident, I had to work a lot on my posture, and I should be not bending over. I should be straightened up more here, but I have to work and do physical therapy like 45 to 60 minutes a day. If I don't, I have pain. Terrible. I have pain that's very, very difficult. And I can't function very well. Now, the reality of the kind of experience I've been through is I've had to accept what I didn't want to accept, is that I can't fix it and I can't make it go away. I can only do what I can to maintain and strengthen what I have with where I am, to manage the situation. And so Jason, my PT guy that helped me set up my home program, you could call my home program the 3 P's: planks, and push-ups. It's basically that. And I appreciate him and his good work. But you know what? I don't get to wish that thing away. And we don't get to wish the pandemic away. You don't get to. I wish I could. But what you can do and what I can do is we can kind of become adults in this. As some people say, we need to adult up and do what we can with what we have where we are right now, and just be realistic about it. And so let's talk about pandemic posture. Number one, let's talk about your outward posture. You know what the number one outward posture that needs to happen right now is respect. No matter what your opinions might be about masks or social distancing or how this should in fact, impact your relationships with other people, you need to do those things. You need to do them to show respect for your elders, for your parents or your grandparents, and for others who you may or may not know are vulnerable. There's a lot of people that I know that they have cancer, or they're taking diseases that affect their immunity. You need to respond with respect. And you know what the Mass says, or whatever, you're washing your hands or whatever you're doing, it says, I respect you, I value you. You practice this as a way of saying you're important to me. When I go visit people, when I have to go to see them, I always wear a mask. I say, hey, you don't have to wear a mask. I say, I wear a mask because I want to tell you, and I mean this, I am valuing you. I respect you. And you're important to me. I don't want to be in any way responsible for you being sick. Now, it's also a way of saying to a lot of people, because they're wearing masks a lot of times too, I value your feelings and your concerns more than my comfort, my opinions, and my own personal liberty. I value those. It matters to me. And so, in your weariness, do not slack. Do not slouch. Use this outward exercise to maintain a pandemic promise and posture. The promise is that we can demonstrate respect. The posture is that we practice it, and we will need to do this. I wish I didn't have to tell you, but we're going to need to do this for a long time. So it's going to become part of our regular behavior. The second thing is, what about pandemic posture? Well, we have to have an inward posture. And maybe this is more important than anything. This is going to be a long-term crisis. It isn't going to go away soon. I'm convinced of that. And you may have already slouched into an angry posture. Well, I know you have, some of you, because you talk to me. And you will not be in God's will until you straighten up, and extinguish your anger with God's grace. James says, this you know, my beloved brethren, but everyone must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the anger of man, that means our human anger about stuff like this, does not achieve the righteousness of God. Your angry posture over this virus, you're ranting about it, and like some people, you see them in the store, or some people are putting up videos. You're ranting about it will not achieve the righteousness of God, and it will not make it go away. Your angry posture will just wear you out and wear other people out too. And it'll force you, as anger always does, to say and do foolish things that you're going to later regret. And they're unrighteous things. They're not godly things. These are things that you are going to, sooner or later, regret. And some of them you may regret for the rest of your life. Or you may have, in this inward posture, you may have slouched into anxiety. And boy, that's an easy thing to do. But anxiety is not sustainable. You will end up cracking and also hurting yourself and other people. And anxiety is bad for your health on every level, especially at a time like this. We don't want to have our immune system kind of taxed down by being anxious all the time and hypervigilant all the time. So rather than be anxious, we have to manage it. We have to deal with it and deal with it in a way so that we are wise. I'm not anxious about this, but I am careful about it. I am doing what I am convinced that if I do the things, I have that pandemic posture where I show respect and I keep this inward posture that I'm not going to be anxious. I'm going to know that I'm just doing the best I can with what I have, where I am. Now, I'm going to talk more about this on the weekend, but, what inward posture should you be planking into? So like if you're doing a plank, if I was to do a plank, I can't really do it here in this setting, but if I was doing this isometric plank, what should I do? Well, it's important to remember what the Bible talks about when it talks about dealing with times like this, especially when it comes to anger or anxiety. Neither one of them are sustainable. That's why you don't let the sun go down in your anger, and that's why it says, for God has not given us a spirit of fearfulness, but of love but of power and love and sound judgment. Sound judgment. That is a posture. It means keeping your mind focused to have sound judgment. You're not getting pulled in. You're not listening. Like a lot of my friends I've talked to, and they said, yeah, I quit listening to that stuff, watching that stuff. I need to focus on Christ and to keep my focus to have sound judgment. This is why Isaiah 26:3 says, the steadfast mind will keep you in perfect peace because he trusts in you. The word steadfast, what's a steadfast mind? It comes from a Hebrew word, samak. And it literally means to reflexively lean on. So it'd be like I was talking about, with a plank, you're leaning on the Lord. You're taking hold of the Lord reflexively. That means, right, you're staying right there. That's the thing about doing good posture and strengthening your posture is you have to hold that. The longer you can hold that position, you're giving it strength. You're bearing up. The word is sometimes to set yourself or to stand fast, to sustain. The longer you sustain it, the stronger you'll get. You're planking on God. If you're doing instead, it's not the floor, it's not a side plank. You're planking. You're putting your plank on God. You're reflexively leaning on God. Another translation says, you will keep the mind that is dependent on you in perfect peace, for it is trusting in you. Since we're right now in kind of an endurance test, it's not 3 months or a couple months or 6 months. Now it's looking a lot longer. We need to start training for a strong pandemic posture, both inwardly and outwardly. And this weekend, you can learn how we're going to train for endurance in our pandemic posture. I hope you do. You can come listen at the park. It's supposed to be warm, but we'll be done early enough. It'll be a beautiful day. Or you can watch it online. It'll be coming up. But let's do this so we can raise up. Like I said, if you have good posture, you can be 2 inches higher. Well, let's have good pandemic posture, both inwardly and outwardly, so we can raise up to our full stature in Christ and not shrink back like Peter said. Let's do this and stay healthy. The whole bunch of us, whole community. And to protect and respect the elders and vulnerable people. Quit seeing all this stuff about, your right to do what you want. Start seeing it as a way to serve and to show respect. And you can raise up. Now do it. With God's grace, we can all do it.